Now, out of this whole horrific crime scene, the only evidence that was left behind was a knife, a DNA evidence that was left behind on the killer's knife sheath. The knife sheath is basically like the holder
case
for like the
something.
military style knife.
Yeah.
And it was the knife sheath was left behind on the bed next to Madison Mogen.
What?
Which ultimately, now this is what ultimately left investigators being able to say somewhat confidently who the suspect ended up being.
Okay.
Now, after this crime happened on November 13th, it took investigators 47 days to capture who they believe to capture a suspect.
47.
Now, the nation and everybody was wondering during those 47 days, how the F can it take 47 days to capture a suspect in a case like this? But according to Brianna Fox, who is an investigator on this case, says, that's pretty fast considering this type of case. And I'm not going to lie, I think that it is too. Covering other cases, this sounds very similar to the Golden State Killer case that went cold for 40-something years. So I'll take 47 days over 40-something years.
That's scary. 40-something years and 40-something days. Whoa,
yeah,
too many coincidences.
I'll take 47 days over 40-something years it taking to solve this. So she's right. 47 days is pretty quick.
Well,
for
also,
cases
but
like
that's
this.
the thing. You have technology nowadays where it tracks people and it tracks like things. So like, it is a little bit long considering that you do have those tools to access.
Well, no, and that's actually how they also ended up catching them. So investigators did a video canvas. And a video canvas is basically them lining up video footage from the surrounding area and then mapping that out to other surrounding areas to get a full crime picture of what happened and who could have been a potential suspect in the crime.
Okay.
So investigators did a video canvas and they captured a white Hyundai Elantra, a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra making 3 passes by the victim's house starting at around 2:40 a.m. But primarily, starting at 3:30 a.m.
Whoa, that's an hour before the killing.
Yes, because the killings, like we said before, happened at around between 4 to 4:25 a.m.
Right.
Now, the car was then seen speeding away from the scene and heading back towards Washington, which is a university that's about 10 minutes away. That's about 10 miles away.
Oh.
And arriving there at around 5:30 a.m. after taking an indirect route back to that university. So authorities identified the car as this Elantra, and they say, okay, we believe that this car could have had something to do with the murders. So after noting the license plate, they run the license plate and it goes back to a name, Bryan Kohberger. Now they run his license plate and they run his driver's license and they see that he also fits the physical description that Dylan, who's one of the survivors of the murder, gave.
What?
About the same height, same build, bushy eyebrows. So, and now that I see how he looks, I don't think I would necessarily describe his eyebrows as bushy, but he does have like what people would describe as hunter eyes, which is his eyebrows protrude out a bit, which I mean, in the dark and in a ski mask, like you would say that like you can probably mistake that for just being bushy eyebrows, but like his eyebrows are very prominent. They stick forward very prominently. They stick
forward a lot.
So they secured a warrant to obtain his cell phone records. Because now if they can say, okay, this car was around the vicinity of this crime scene and then he went back to this university. Now let's see if his phone records show any pings in the area.
But wait, hold on. His car was seen driving through. Was it just casually driving through, or is it like multiple times?
No, so it's 3 times.
3?
3 times.
No, that's on purpose.
Starting at around 3:30 a.m.
Because like once or twice, okay, because like once you're passing through to drop something off, twice you're going back to go back to where you're coming from, but 3 times?
Yeah, and one of those times was basically like a U-turn. And then also it was seen speeding away at around the time after the murders would have happened.
No.
So that's why they even started tracking that car in the first place. They secured a warrant to obtain his cell phone records, and the records showed that at around 2:47 a.m., coinciding with surveillance capturing his car leaving his apartment complex, the phone stopped connecting to the network.
Whoa.
Then later on, his phone later reconnected south of Moscow, which is not far from where the murders happened, as he's traveling back to his apartment.
Whoa.
So investigators found that his phone was also near the victims' homes a certain number of times before the murder. Guess how many times before the murder happened that they were able to locate his phone in the vicinity of that house?
I would say it has to be between 10 and 15 times, because like 5 times, there's like so many possibilities.
Yeah.
But 10 to 15 is like a large number where you're like, no, you're doing this on purpose.
It was 12 times.
12?
Yeah, it was 12 times. And a 13th time happening immediately like the morning after the murder.
What type of creepy shit is going on?
So this is something that Brianna Fox, who I mentioned before, notes is consistent with what killers do.
Yeah.
They oftentimes revisit the scene of the crime almost immediately after or shortly after they do the crime.
For serial killers and people who do things like that, it's less of a let's see what happened. It's more of like a let's see if they have anything. Like let me relive the moment a little bit. Like I feel like it just excites them. You know what I mean? Like it's this weird psychopath
and a lot of
behavior.
And a lot of experts say that yes, the reason that they go back to the scene of the crime, it gives them a sense of fulfillment. Like, yeah, I did that. It'd be like if you were Batman.
So
like the positive side to it would be like if you were Batman or a superhero and you saved the world and everyone's talking about, oh my God, did you see how this superhero did this, that, and the third? Like, and you feel good.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, and you don't even know it's me. It's like that, but the sinister version to it.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So the only physical evidence to the crime scene was DNA that was found on a knife sheath that was left behind, that was found near Maddie's body. Surveillance footage showed a car matching his white Hyundai Elantra leaving the scene. His phone records later revealed that he was near the victim's house 12 separate times, and before the murders, and including once the morning after the murders. So now they go, okay,
we got you,
Brian,
right?
You're suspect numero uno. Now, although there's a microscopic amount of DNA that was found on the knife sheath, when they ran it through the national database, it came up with no matches.
Oh, so that means this person was a first-time offender or something like that.
Yes, exactly. So during this time, when they identified Bryan Kohberger as suspect numero uno, they find out that during this time, Kohberger is driving back 2,500 miles with his dad back to his hometown in Pennsylvania for the holiday break, because this is around Christmas time.
Okay.
Now, it's around that holiday time when kids get out of school and some people return home. So they find out that Kohberger allegedly told his father that he was having trouble at his job, which prompted his dad to fly out 2,500 miles, to drive back 2,500 miles with his son, because apparently he was upset or distraught over something that's happening at work. Now
that's creepy.
That is creepy, which leads them to believe, okay, he's probably more distraught over committing this murder. He's probably more shaken up over the fact that he did this murder.
Right.
But they can't prove that yet. Now, during this trip, Kohberger and his dad was stopped twice by police for traffic violations. But you can see on the police body cam that Kohberger remained calm and composed during these traffic stops.
Whoa.
It's unclear if he suspected that the police were on to him at this time, but that's why they were analyzing that footage, because they were trying to see, like, is he nervous? Like,
yeah, like what's his reaction?
Anything, but he was like calm, cool, collected, like it was like a normal, like how, like obviously you're a little bit bright eyed, like
right.
Whoa, like why are you pulling us over? But right. He didn't have anything that would give away to say, oh my God,
like he's nervous.
Are they really pulling me over because they suspected I did these murders? So. Which
is questionable though, because oftentimes, like, naturally you'd have a natural human paranoia of like
getting pulled over. Am I
like did I do something? Yeah, especially if you did kill these people, right? You'd have a natural paranoia of like, are you on to me? But like the fact that he handled that so calm was is concerning. I'm not gonna lie.
No, like it could be, but then also like if you're innocent of the crime, that you would react normally to your normal traffic stop. So that's why they're not sure if he had if he knew that they were on him or not.
That's true, but also his dad was with him, so
that wouldn't mean anything. So investigators then call out to Pennsylvania and start collaborating with a team out there, a police investigative unit. And they say, hey, head over to the Kohberger's family home and recover some DNA from the house. So they recover the father's DNA from the trash can. Very similar to how they caught the Golden State Killer. And when they tested, so they wanted to match the DNA that they found from the dad to the knife sheath, because that's the only physical DNA that was left behind that they can confirm was left behind by the killer. And when they tested that DNA, they found that whatever DNA was on this tissue is the father of the DNA that they found on the knife sheath.
Oh, snap.
And remember, they already suspect that the DNA that they found on the knife sheath is Bryan Kohberger.
Right.
Which is
his dad's
DNA that's on this tissue. Oh, so that is their first big link where they go, oh, the DNA says that this is the father. Okay, we know that this is Brian's father. So we know that it was probably Bryan. So now that's how they were able to obtain a search warrant. Well, that's how they were able to arrest Bryan. Oh. And then also obtain a search warrant for his DNA. So on December 30th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. They obtained this warrant to test his DNA to try to match it to the DNA that was found on the knife sheath now. And when they test that DNA, they tested Bryan's DNA to the DNA that was found on the knife sheath. It was 5.3 octillion times more likely to belong to Bryan Kohberger than anyone else on the planet.
So what, like that's
not even a percentage thing at that point. That just means, homeboy, it's probably you.
Yeah, it's like 99.9%.
That's you.
Yeah,
that's you.
Because you have like a little bit of room for like uncertainty or whatever, but it's 99.9%.
That's you. Exactly. Right. So his attorney, when Bryan got arrested, his attorney claimed that he was looking forward to being exonerated.